A couple of years ago, when I went to a frat house, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. I pull up to pick up a passenger. There was another Uber driver there in the parking lot. And I remember I pulled up this way and he was like parked this way. So, I was like, I told him, I looked at him and like, hey, roll your window down. And he rolled his window down. And so I rolled my window down and I was like, hi, my name is Levi. I'm an Uber driver. Nice to meet you. And he goes, so the what? Just, and he rolls his window back up. Hi, my name is Levi Spires. This is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the driver community and how to make it better, and some of my thoughts toward those things like unionization and employee status and things like that. And basically celebrate some drivers that I really I think the better way to do it to some extent. I'm definitely going to tell you about this ride that I had with this guy. He was an ornithologist, a bird guy. It's kind of cool. It was really cool. And then I'll answer some of your questions. Now, the Uber driver community. Let's first do this because I don't want to let this get lost in it. These books right here, got Eddie's book right here, Nate's book, Jeff's book. These are books that fellow Uber drivers have written. And if you want a copy of these books, join this channel, DM me. I've got a couple of copies of each one of these books, and I'll gladly ship you a copy because they've sent me copies of their books, and I wanted to promote and celebrate fellow drivers. And it got me thinking about the celebration of these guys and what their books are. This is not going to be a book review. Just the community. Now, imagine like that driver when I pulled up and I introduced myself to him, and he was disgruntled. Like, who are you? And I get it. See, I think what most passengers don't understand is that when I'm out in the field working as a driver, especially when I'm in my secret spot, a spot that I'm not even going to tell my wife when I'm on my deathbed. I'm never going to tell anybody my secret spots because it's competition. Your fellow Uber driver is a competition. It could be DoorDash, Grubhub. It doesn't really matter. We're independent contractors, and when we're independent contractors, the apps flood the market with more drivers, and thus lowering how much we're going to make. So out there in the field when we're working, you see your fellow driver as competition. And so I understand why that guy was kind of like, who are you picking up at this frat? This is my frat or something like that. But then you look at like these books, and they're not necessarily trying to build a community with Nate, Eddie, and Jeff here. But I think they express that thing that's going on. And here's what I see happening. The apps are against the drivers. The apps work in a way that put us against each other to some extent. We're in competition, and it's natural, and it is more out there. So when you read their books, you don't necessarily see it always just as negative about the apps, but you can understand like the underpinning of the app being the bad guy. The passengers are definitely where the stories are at because that's where we have these interactions with people. But we don't really have something out there where it's our community. And I think as drivers, now I've seen some solutions that I don't like. A good solution that people promote all the time are things like unionization or maybe becoming an employee. And I think that doesn't appeal to me at all, because if I was a union guy or some sort of employee, I think I'd lose the flexibility of the gig. And so we got this weird situation where there's a bunch of people in a profession that there's no guild, there's no community, and we're all kind of pitted against each other out there when we're working. So I just love celebrating and meeting my fellow drivers. That's kind of what this channel has become to me. And so that was just when I picked up these books off my shelf and I started thinking about it again today, just to talk to you guys about it. I was thinking to myself, like, why even do this channel? because I can't tell you how to be a better driver. I do have a rideshare master class, but that's really for you to like learn on your own and then take some of my experiences and then try to apply it to your own thing. I just every driver, every car, every city, everything's unique. So there's no one way to do this. And so to sit there and say this is the best way to drive, that's why I just like the whole cherry picking thing. It's not that I think cherry picking is a bad way to drive. It's just the arrogance of the people that are cherry picking. They act as if their way of driving is the only way to do it. Whereas I know drivers that make a lot of money that are very satisfied doing what they do by picking up every ride. And in fact, that's why I met Jeff. I watched Jeff on the Show Me the Money Club on Harry's channel when Sergio interviewed him. Um, so yeah, so I think about community, and that's what I really want this channel to be about, is about the experiences, because most passengers really don't understand what you and I do. The struggle against the apps, the struggle with passengers, the struggle with traffic and late nights and the unhealthy nature of it all, and it's and for the low pay. I don't want to make it sound like there are jobs that are harder. Of course there are jobs that are a lot harder than what we do, but it's the low pay in addition to it. It's one thing to struggle and get paid a lot of money. It's another thing to struggle unnecessarily with an app and these things, all these things working against you to get basically a barely above minimum wage job. That's what it ends up being after expenses. And so yeah, so that's what I really want this channel and everything with Tip You in the app to be about, is community, a chance to bond. And so when going to my shelf and seeing these books, again, if you want a copy of these, just join the channel, DM me, and we'll figure out something. I don't have that many copies, and so it's kind of a first come, first serve. And yeah, there's that to it. Okay, now my ride, ornithology. Ornithology is like the science of birds, I think. I don't know. I'm not, but I was down in Ithaca again. I've been down there so much lately. They have like one of the best ornithology labs in America. So I picked up a guy. He's going on his holiday. He works there, and we just started talking about birds. Now I don't really know anything about birds except for one thing, and this is advice, by the way. This is advice for you as a rideshare driver. He started talking about he works there, and so I remember I read a book that was really influential to me. It's called H is for Hawk. It's Helen McDonald's book about a memoir of her father dying, but she's a falconer, i.e. she trains birds, like the birds of prey. You know, the birds with like the leather over their head and they're on their shoulder and they go out and eat things. So she trained a goshawk, which is like this mystical gray, big hawk, like really big. And now I've never seen it because I don't know, but I told him about what I know about that book and goshawks, and we've had a great conversation. And I told him about how I look in the trees, especially this time of year when all the trees are bare, there aren't leaves on the trees, and I'm looking for hawks and I can see them. And we saw a hawk, and I told him I'm always looking for a goshawk, and he's like, well, you won't see a goshawk in North America because they hide from humans. And I was like, okay, so that was pretty neat. But what does this matter to you as a driver? I think finding those spots of where you can relate to people. And again, I didn't want to make the ride about me. Again, when you got in the car, I said, hello, it looks like you're heading off on a vacation. He goes, yeah, I'm taking a break from the lab. And I said, which lab? He said, ornithology. I said, isn't that birds? And he's like, yes. I said, I read a book about this one time. I don't know much about it. By saying I don't know much about it and I read this book, it gave us a chance for him to become the star of the show. That's really what it came down to. He became the star of the show. He got to tell me all about birds. I got to plead my ignorance, and I was ignorant, and just let him tell me things. And I think he liked that. Now I say that he didn't tip me. So it wasn't like I got a tip, but I think that's the human connection that I enjoy the most as a driver, is that ability for us to just meet people and strangers and find these kinships, these brief moments of relationship where it's like, oh, that's neat. That's interesting. I learned something. And I did. I learned that the goshawk here in North America will never be near me. So as I'm spending all this time looking in the trees for hawks, I'm just kind of wasting my time. So I think what I'm saying is this: find these stories, find these little bits of relationship, find joy in the profession of doing what we do, which is taking strangers safely, transporting them to and from different places. If you can find joy in that, you might enjoy this just a little bit more as a gig. It's not going to offset the fact that we don't get paid, is what I'm not trying to defend Uber or anything. I'm just saying that's what makes the gig fun for me. Okay, so your questions. Um, Kathleen, a member. Oh, before I get into your questions, hold on a second here. Let me explain something to you. The channel gets a lot of questions, and I get questions on X, on LinkedIn, on Facebook group, some other things like that. I can't answer them all. And plus, I don't even know the answer to half of them. I just some of your questions are so technical in terms of the app. I don't have answers to it, but I'm glad that you're posting it because maybe somebody else might read your question and answer it. But just so you know, the way I sort your questions is I'm looking for channel members, people that do super thanks. I've gotten a few of those. Public subscribers, and contains questions. So on the YouTube admin side of the YouTube app, I can sort questions, and because there's so many comments and questions out there, that's how I find things. So if you really truly want your question to be addressed, become a channel member, ask a question, and I'll try to respond to it here on this, or I'll definitely try to, respond to you in the comments itself. If you notice, watch my videos, go look in the comment section. I'm all over there. I'm really engaging with you guys in the comments. Okay, so Kathleen says, do you still have the EV promo? Mine finished on November 26th, and I haven't seen anything new offered since then. And that is true. The EV promo for Uber has ended. They've got some other new programs coming up. I think Lyft does too. But Kathleen, that's not. Yes, the EV promo where it used to be $1 per ride. Then it was $1 per ride capped at $200, I think. Then it was you have to do two. You got $210 a month for 200 rides. Then it went down to $150 for 200 rides, and now it's gone. So if you have an electric car, you're no longer being compensated by Uber or Lyft for the most part to have an electric car. You have to do certain things. And Bloomberg News reached out to me, and Ben was the author of this article's name. He did reach out to me, and I guess Bloomberg News also sees Uber and Lyft's kind of like PR BS, where they're like, we care about green everything, but the fact that they're not compensating drivers to moving to electric vehicles is kind of like emblematic of Uber not living up to what they promised they want to do. And Uber if you read the article, maybe I'll link to it. It's behind a paywall. But I did use my full name in the article and kind of told the writer, Ben, my thoughts toward Uber's green initiatives. Now, I don't think an electric car is green. I think that's all whatever. I bought a Tesla because I like a Tesla. It was really affordable at the time. And I did get some bonuses. That's why I bought a Tesla. So don't buy an electric car thinking you're going to save the planet, because you're not. At least I don't believe you are. But Uber believes it. At least that's what they say in their PR. And so they should be rewarding and compensating drivers for buying, quite frankly, a more expensive car that's more difficult to drive. And what I mean by more difficult to drive is like there's range limits on cars. And so if you're going to drive for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time, if you're going to take long trips within an Uber, if you have an electric car, you've got to think about charging. And charging on the charging network for Tesla, it's easy, but it takes time. It takes 20, 30 minutes sometimes. And it's more expensive than charging at home. So there's some coordinating that has to take place. You get limited by the rides that you can take because you have a green car. So, so Kathleen, the bonus is gone. It's over. It's ended for this year. So, and I told the news. I went to a news reporter and we talked about it. Okay. let's see here. U-turn delivery. That is, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting your name now? Lisa. Sorry. Lisa, another member of the channel here. She says, wow, that's totally insane, but it makes sense. Unless you rent a parking spot with a charger. What she was talking about here in this particular one is a video where I made yesterday. I was in New York City yesterday, and there was a line at the Tesla charging station. And here's a recommendation. I do not recommend you getting an electric car unless it's heavily subsidized by either the government or Tesla or Uber or wherever, unless you're getting a lot of money for it, if you can't charge at home. See, for me, an electric car works really, really well because I can charge at home. It costs me 14 cents per kilowatt hour. That means it costs me, I don't know, $10, give or take, to drive a couple hundred miles, so it's cheaper than operating my Prius, which gets like 60 miles of the gallon when it's perfect. So it's super cheap for me to charge my Tesla at home, and it's fun to drive and those things. But if I had to like always charge it at a supercharger, it'd become very expensive. The supercharging rates are continue to increase. It used to be like 20 cents late at night to charge my Tesla per kilowatt hour. And that's like a gallon of gas would be the way to express it. But now, like, I think when I was charging in New York City, it was 41 cents, and I've heard as much as 60 cents in some place per kilowatt hour in California. So charging an electric car on the supercharging network or any type of public charger can be very expensive, fast charging. So charging at home. So ultimately, sitting in that line, it just reminded me that there are people in New York City or major cities that are buying electric cars. A lot of them had like Fiskars. I don't know. I think Fisker went out of business, but a lot of these Uber drivers in New York City were driving Fiskars, which can't even fast charge that well. They're slower to charge, and they're waiting in line an hour and then taking an hour to charge their car. Like 2 hours to not working, just wasting time. And you do that every single day. That's 10 hours, 12 hours a week. That's like a full work day just waiting in line to charge your car. That's foolish. And yeah, it's Lisa, good observation. Now Mark asked a really good question that I want to spend some time on because it just really stood out to me. So Mark, let me read Mark's question and comment here and then talk with you about this. Mark says, I understand you resigned yourself to AI taking over everything, but do you really understand where this is leading? That's the question. Do you understand the implications of man building their own God? Do you understand all this biblically? On one of your videos, you mentioned you listened to the podcast, The Daily Audio Bible, or just The Daily Audio Bible. He found both of them on YouTube. I just want to tell you how important it is to really dig into the Word of God. Having a strong relationship with Jesus will guide you in all of your endeavors. Yes, amen. I'm a Christian. Yes, having a strong relationship with God will not only help us through AI, but anything else. But I think for the bigger question is, do I understand where AI is going? Yes and no. I feel like I could do a whole like podcast channel on this topic. A couple things. Number one, I've been using Chat GPT for 2.5 years now when it first came out. And I remember when it first came out, I was talking with college students about it, and I was talking with college professors, and they were like, oh, it's no big deal. And I just remember how like they weren't seeing the big picture with it. And I use ChatGPT, Gemini 3. I don't use Perplexity, but I use every AI large language model I can get my hands on. Then on top of it, I use my Tesla full self-drive, so the car drives itself. I don't think most humans understand what's coming. And I think this deserves a longer, maybe a live stream where we talk more about this. But like people like Elon Musk and Sam Altman are like, there is a potential for artificial intelligence to end the human life form. So on one spectrum, you've got people acting as if it's no big deal. It's just another app, or these autonomous cars are not going to do whatever. And then you've got people like Sam Altman and Elon Musk and whoever else building robots and artificial general intelligence. So artificial intelligence to the point where it's smarter than every human that's ever existed combined. And they're going to build robots and autonomous things. And I'm like, this is a multi-trillion dollar industry blooming right now with NVIDIA and all these companies that are just trying to go crazy pursuing this effort. And our federal government, the US government, thinks it's at war with China in terms of who can get to AGI, artificial general intelligence first, which is basically like Skynet, right, if you've seen Terminator 2. So these guys are in a mad race to find and create Skynet, which could be ending the world as we know it. And then you've got people over here pretending like it's not a big deal. I think these people are ignorant. And I understand maybe they just don't want to admit what's happening, what's taking place. So I'm over here trying to understand this as much as I possibly can. Now, yes, having a relationship with Jesus, that solves everything. So what I want to do is I want to kind of go back to I understand more about what's going on with AI. And I think this deserves a longer podcast, but in the short answer is no, I don't understand, but I'm trying to. I'm engaging with it. I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be left behind. I think there is a potential for world turmoil because people are going unemployed and robots. For us, we are on the cutting edge. That's the thing that gets me about this as an Uber driver. And I think that's why I can speak with so much authority about this to some extent. Not how it's going to take place, because I don't know anything about the technology, but the implications of it, because I'm on the cutting edge. I'm a 50-some-odd-year-old male that Uber drives for a living, and we've got companies like Robotaxi and Waymo and Zoox and all these coming here to take my job. And I don't know what I would do next. It's not like I can go be a warehouse worker. I'm too old. I'm not going to retool and become a welder. The office jobs are going to be going away. There are so many students that I drive, even like a school like Cornell, one of the top universities in the world, and they're struggling to find work because these major corporations are just not hiring, because they're saying it's not necessarily just because of AI, but we can all see AI doing things faster and faster and faster, replacing humans in white collar jobs. So I don't understand how it's working. I don't understand the science behind it. And I feel the implications of what's coming. So Mark, yeah, thank you for noticing. Yeah, Daily Audio Bible is one of my podcasts I listen to. I am a Christian, and I'm not fearful of it because I'm engaged with it. And I do understand the implications of what's coming. And I think I'm going to spend more time on this podcast helping drivers with an exit strategy, because your job, let me give you one final number. If you've listened to the podcast this far today, thank you. Let me give you one final number to really think about. There are, I think, like 250 million cars in America, and those cars are being used at about a 5% to 10% capacity. Let me give you an example. The average American drives their car, I don't know, 13,000 miles. And I've done the research on this, and I'm going to do a podcast of full length on this, but since you've listened to this far, I'll kind of give you some numbers that I don't have memorized by heart, but I kind of know. Okay. So there's 250 million cars, give or take, and those cars go about 13,000 miles a year, roughly. But an autonomous car could probably do upwards of 130,000 to 150,000. So that's that 10% number. So a current car, if you have a car in your driveway right now, and you're not an Uber driver, you're getting about 10% of utilization out of that. The rest of the time it's sitting there parked, depreciating. Even if you bought the cheapest car possible, it's just getting less and less valuable. It's not being fully utilized. It'd be like buying a machine for a factory and not using it. So what does that mean? That means that we only need 25 million cars to replace the 250 million that we have out there. Okay, if all the cars became autonomous, we started fully utilizing them for transportation, instead of needing 250 million cars, we would need 25 million cars. Now, the number that blows my mind is that US manufacturing back in 2019 at peak automotive manufacturing here in the United States produced about 20 million cars. I think what that means in my mind is that if all US manufacturing hypothetically decided to double down and just focus strictly on building autonomous cars, because we know the technology is there. There are autonomous cars working already throughout the US in a lot of different places, especially with people with full self-drive, Tesla full self-drive. They're operating in every location in America. The technology just gets a little bit better. Regulation allows it just a little bit more. And all the companies decide to build autonomous cars. Within a year or two, our world will be flooded. Our roads will be flooded with autonomous cars. You'd be out of a job in weeks as a rideshare driver. And I know there's people that are like, oh, I'll never get an autonomous car. Yeah, until they do. And I think Waymo right now is the new Uber. Do you remember when Uber first came out? It was so exciting. It was like, I can go into my phone and order a car and a professional driver come get me. And blah, blah, blah. Now it's like people get excited. You go onto social media, there's tons of people posting about ordering an autonomous car and they're so nervous about it. But then by the end of the ride, they love it. It's coming and that's just our industry. So Mark, you're talking about a big picture about what's going on in the world and human civilization and spirituality and yes. And so I'm trying to engage with it. That's my best answer I can give to anybody is be aware, not be ignorant of it, engage with it, utilize it, and hopefully not get left behind. And that's what I want to spend more time on this channel about that stuff. Yeah, well, shout out to sponsors Lay's Fit and Red Tiger. Lay's Fit is floor mats. I live here in the winter. They're really great. Red Tiger, I have the new camera sitting right over there. I'm going to be doing some tests with it. And so Red Tiger. In addition to that, please, if you want to engage more in these conversations and join a community, I have other ways to do it. You can find me on Facebook, on the Facebook group. We have a Tip You in the App private Facebook group where you can join. In addition to that, we have, I'm on X where I talk about golf and politics and religion and a bunch of other stuff. And to addition to Uber driving and things like that. LinkedIn, I talk about a lot of business stuff. And yeah, I want to engage. I want to build a community. So my fellow drivers, thank you so much for watching. I want you to be safe. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to make a lot of money. I really do. But I want you to enjoy the ride. I want you to know that I am cheering for you. Be well. Bye.